is this body. This body right now that we have is illusory because it looks reliable. Although as we all get older, you start to maybe believe less of the reliability of this body on the one hand, and then on the other hand, keep insisting, or keep not accepting. Why are you unreliable? But this body is the illusory body. This body that we think is reliable. This body that we think is permanent. This body that we think is unchanging. This body that we think is real. And particularly our fixation on it is quite real in that sense. It's quite tight. So all of this, this illusory body, may this be realized, meaning may this actually achieve the Nirmanakaya. The Nirmanakayas, of course, you can say the Nirmanakayas are basically the physical emanations, if you want to use that language. Often that language is used, but I think it's also helpful to think of it as physical expression. Emanation sounds like, someone is sitting there going, okay, pew, okay, pew, okay, pew, you're emanating. I think it's better to say, like physical expression of the Buddha's activity of benefiting others. So 2,500 years ago, when Buddha Shakyamuni, the Buddha Shakyamuni that people could see, people could talk to, people could ask questions, people could yell at, because there were some people who yelled at him, people who doubted, people who thought, this is just another cult leader getting free food. So this this Shakyamuni that people could see, people could talk to, people could ask questions of, that is an example of a Nirmanakaya. They call that the supreme Nirmanakaya, because he demonstrated in that form, he demonstrated the full activity of a Buddha. Was born in a particular way, while growing up, displayed all these amazing qualities, then left the home, sat under the Bodhi tree, manifested the attainment of Buddhahood, inspired others so that others can also do that, turned the wheel of Dharma, taught, all of that. When all of that can be seen in one person, in one lifetime, we call that the supreme Nirmanakaya. So of course there are many Buddhas anywhere else, also manifested, expressed in the terms of supreme Nirmanakayas. Then there are many other types of Nirmanakayas. Basically any kind of physical expression of this state of Buddha is a type of Nirmanakaya, including like sacred images. Sacred images. But in this context, we say, so Nirmanakaya, as I was saying, obviously also have a beginning and an end, right? Whether it's the supreme Nirmanakaya, the Buddha Shakyamuni that people could talk to, people could ask questions, people could doubt, people could scold, people could praise, had a beginning and an end. Just like right now, this illusory body that you and I have a beginning and an end. But the vast difference between these two is, when it is a Nirmanakaya, it is there solely for the benefit of others, and there's no confusion involved. Whereas right now, this illusory body is solely for ourselves and wrapped up with all kinds of confusion. So this first one says, grant me your blessings so that I can realize. Realize has the double connotation of seeing that this illusory body is actually the Nirmanakaya. Realize in that sense. But that realizing itself is a first step. Second step is, in terms of Gagyu, and particularly Gongchik's way of kind of understanding how this process should unfold. First realize, and then what?
Actualize.
And then silence? What?
Actualize.
We have a better word.
Experience.
We have a better word. Sorry? I cannot hear whoever is speaking. I have to speak closer to the...
To habituate?
To habituate, correct. That's the word, that's the word. Habituate, 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 habituate. Familiarize, familiarize, familiarize. That's also the word that we would translate as meditate or practice. Habituate, habituate, habituate. So this word here, realize, has the meaning of realize in that first sense, and in the second sense of, it is actualized. But how do we actualize? Through habituating. Through habituating, through familiarizing, through practicing. And then, yes, it is actualized. So here when it says, may I realize, each one, may I realize, may I realize, may I realize, it carries both connotations. First, to know, oh, actually this is the Nirmanakaya. There's nowhere else to go find more Nirmanakayas. This is Nirmanakaya. So it also means, to whatever degree that we use this right now, in a Buddha-like way, right? Meaning really benefiting others. Then in all those moments that we are benefiting others, without confusion, we could also benefit others to manipulate others, right? Oh, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing that for you, I'm doing that for that. And then after that, oh, you're so ungrateful, you're so, yes, we all still do that. I can tell you that, at least I can speak for you, I can speak for myself. But we have to quickly recognize and say, oh, wait, that's not benefiting beings, that's acting out our confusion. So benefiting beings without confusion, it's possible even right now. It might not be stable, but to whatever degree when we are benefiting others without confusion, in those moments, in those, kind of very fleeting moments, the Nirmanakaya is present. You are realizing this illusory body as a Nirmanakaya. What we have to do is through habituating, through practice, we begin to stabilize more and more this realization that this illusory body is the Nirmanakaya. Then grant me your blessings that I may realize the vital energies to be Sambhogakaya. Now we're going into a more subtle level. So this physical body, what animates this physical body is the vital energies. Sok, sok, so. Sok is life, life. Soul is like life force. So this is related to the tantric physiology and also Tibetan medical physiology. So it speaks of like, there's this physical body, of course, and then there's an underlying life force that when it is present, then life is present. When it is not present, then life cannot be present. This is different from mind. Mind or consciousness also relies on this life force to be present. So this is different from mind. This is a life force. So these life force and life energies, illnesses manifest. Illnesses become possible. We catch virus, we catch bacteria, and we fall victim to them. When our life force is weakened, unstable, and so we weaken and make our life force unstable through all sorts of possibilities, often involving negative karma has arrived, negative conditions surround us. When those two come together, then our sokso, our life force, our vital energies are depleted, become very thin. Then the illusory body falls out of whack. So now here it says, but may I realize that this life force, this vital energy that keeps this illusory body intact, somewhat intact, somewhat functioning, may I realize those subtle life force to be the nirma, to be the sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya are also physical manifestations, physical expressions of the Buddha state, but subtle. So classically, it is said, only bodhisattvas who are already on the 8th bhumi, there are 10 bodhisattva bhumis, and bhumi 11 is the state of Buddha. So only bodhisattvas on the 8th bhumi can really see and communicate and benefit from Sambhogakaya forms. And so Sambhogakaya forms are manifested for very highly evolved, you can say, beings who have purified their afflictive emotions to the level of 8th bhumi. 8th bhumi is also the level, the bhumi, the ground, bhumi like in the Malaysian word to bhumi, the ground, right? The ground where a bodhisattva has completely realized the truth of the selflessness of persons. So they do not grasp on self, on I, me, mine anymore. Only on that level can you really perceive Sambhogakayas. So this is very subtle form. And it is said that Buddhists manifest Sambhogakaya forms in order to more directly, more efficiently, more purely instruct 8th bhumi bodhisattvas. Now, you should know that in terms of Buddhist art, Buddhist representation of Buddhas, when Buddhas are shown wearing crown and ornaments and jewels, such as actually this Buddha here, this representation here, I don't know if you can see. When Buddhas are depicted wearing crowns, and then the 8, Sambhogakaya jewels, like armlets, bracelets, 3 necklaces, anklets, earrings. When they are depicted that way, in terms of Buddhist art, we call that a Sambhogakaya form. And obviously, you can see it, I can see it. It doesn't mean we are on the 8th bhumi. It's just the artistic expression of what Sambhogakaya forms look like. But actual Sambhogakaya form, only 8th bhumi bodhisattvas. So you can say Nirmanakaya is manifested for all those who are not on any bhumi yet, up until the seventh bhumi. Then Sambhogakaya forms are manifested, are expressed for the instruction, for the benefit of those who are on 8th Bodhisattva Bhumi to 10th Bodhisattva Bhumi. And one way we can also understand Sambhogakaya form, although it's not exactly, but analogically, if Nirmanakaya is like, say, Dharma books that we read and we can analyze, we can understand, we can see, we can think about, close it, open again. Then Sambhogakaya would be something like, you know, you walk out of your house one morning very early. You just start, you know, mysteriously, you don't even understand why. You kind of turn and you look at a bush and you see all these dewdrops still on the tree, on this bush, you know, or maybe a dewdrop on a blade of grass, you know. And then you suddenly have an opening. You suddenly have an understanding, a realization about the nature of reality. That's sort of analogically, that is kind of like the Sambhogakaya mode of communicating. Less wordy, less based on concepts. They're instructing on a whole other level. Then grant me your blessings that I may realize the nature of mind to be Dharmakaya. So now, on an even more subtle level, and now the mind. So right now, we don't experience nature of mind, but nature of mind is there. Right now, what we experience is the activities of the mind, rather than the nature of the mind. So the activities of the mind and the nature of mind are, of course, actually also inseparable. In some traditions, they think we should stop the activities of the mind because the activities of the mind just exhaust us. So we should stop the activities of the mind and just gain the nature of the mind. But in Mahamudra, the Mahamudra tradition, it says that, no, that's a mistake. If you try to stop the activities of the mind, if you impede the activities of the mind, then you are also trying to snuff out an essential element of the nature of mind, which is the nature of the mind includes its nature to be radiant, poetically speaking, to be radiant. Meaning, mind is not just empty, mind also has awareness. And so, to try to cut off activities of the mind, thinking that that's the problem, that that's the enemy, is in some ways, right, trying to impede or darken the radiant expression of the mind. From the Mahamudra perspective, that is said to be misguided. So anyway, here, when it says, you know, realize the nature of mind, you have to remember nature of mind includes the radiance of the mind, which right now this radiance is experienced as the 84,000 types of confusion. When there's no recognition, this radiance turns into the whole gamut of samsara. When there is recognition, then the whole gamut of samsara is realized as, is achieved as, is actualized as the all-pervading compassion of the Buddha state. So it says, let me realize all of that as the Dharmakaya. And the Dharmakaya means, you know, it has always been like this. It has always been like this. It's just we have not seen, we have not realized, we have no trust in, we also have no faith in that it has always been like this. It has always been in the Dharmakaya state. So this is the most subtle level. So here is, you could say, illusory body is outer, vital energies is inner, and then nature of mind is secret. 3 levels. Outer, inner, secret. The 4th, grant your blessings that I may attain Buddhahood this very life. This you can say, it doesn't say in this text, this can sometimes be the equivalent of what's known as the Swabhavika Kaya, the 4th Kaya, which is the 3 Kayas understood and realized, and actualized as inseparable. So the natural Swabhavika Kaya is the natural body. Now here, this supplication is related to what comes right after, which is the receiving of the 4 empowerments. And so it says, from the Guru's forehead, white light comes. From the Guru's throat, red light comes. From the Guru's heart, blue light comes. From the Guru's navel, golden yellow light comes. And these are basically what we just prayed for. May I realize the illusory body to be Nirmanakaya. May I realize vital energies to be Sambhogakaya. May I realize nature of mind to be Dharmakaya. May I realize the Buddha state in this very life. The 4th. So these are the 4 empowerments with the white, red, blue, and yellow light into the 4 places. And then it tells us, this purifies the 4 obscurations, and in this way I receive the 4 empowerments, and the seeds of the 4 kayas. The expression is often plant, but I think less literally, we should not say plant. To plant the seeds suggests that those seeds were not there before, right? So I've always found it peculiar in this text, they would use the expression to plant the seed. Less literally, but more communicating more accurately the meaning here is the seeds are sprouted. Yeah, the seeds are already there. So when you receive empowerment, it's not like, the guru or the deity, comes and go, okay, I'm going to plant this seed now in Carolyn. Plant it in your head, plant it in your throat, plant it in your heart, plant it in your navel. No, the seeds are already there. What happens in empowerment is sunlight is given. So the seeds are already there, the soil is already there, the moisture is already there. All that is needed now is sunlight. So the 4 empowerments are rays of light, even poetically it's expressed like that. And then when you receive empowerment in an empowerment ritual, that's essentially what's going on. So this is, in the Guru Puja as a daily practice, when we do this empowerment here, we call it the path empowerment. The path empowerment, meaning the empowerment practice that we have to do as our path, as our method, to Buddhahood. So this is called path empowerment. Path empowerment can be effectively practiced on the basis of having received ground empowerment or base empowerment. So what is the base? What is the ground? What is the basis? The basis is having attended, experienced an empowerment ritual where a Vajra master is present, a mandala, meaning the shrine is present, where you are present, and the visualized mandala. There is the physical mandala, shrine. There is the visualized mandala. There is your body mandala as a student, and there is the guru body mandala. So the guru as a mandala, the Vajra master as a mandala, yourself as a mandala, the physical mandala as mandala, and the visualized mandala as mandala. When these are present in the context of a ritual empowerment, then we receive the base empowerment, which means that, and so underneath all these empowerments, long and short, some empowerments take 3 days, some takes 3 hours, some even just an hour. Underlying all of these empowerments is basically these 4 empowerments. And once you have received such an empowerment, it becomes the base for you, the basis, the foundation. So the foundation empowerment to be followed by path empowerment. So if you just receive empowerment, as in attend these empowerment rituals, but if you don't understand what's going on, then it's not the case that you've received the empowerment. Then your basis, your foundation is kind of shaky. So that's why, especially in Drigung Kagyu, generally I can say, I'm not saying there's a handbook of Drigung Kagyu policies, but the general style of Drigung Kagyu Lamas is we are not so fundamentalist about the receiving and the giving of empowerments. And some people might even criticize, as in we're quite saying do it, do as many as you can, with the understanding that each time you attend one, you are working on purifying. It's the one intention. Gongchik, single, holistic, complete, So if you see the different empowerments as different things and competition, then you'll be confused. But you see all empowerments as a single empowerment. All samadhis, remember, is basically one samadhi. The Vajra-like samadhi at the state of Buddha, and then the fleeting, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Oh wait, where did the breath go? It says even that attempt at meditating is already maybe one speck of dust of the Vajra Samadhi. Then breathe in, breathe out. Oh, stable. You can count all the way to 21. That qualitatively, it's not like you have achieved something else. It's still the Vajra-like Samadhi. That is as the state of Buddha. It is still that beginning. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Oh wait, am I supposed to breathe in or breathe out now? Same, but becoming more and more refined. So we have the analogy, often maybe you have heard, they say, don't dig 20 wells. Dig one well, dig it deep. There are, the general principle of that, I think we all understand. Meaning, don't switch your practices, don't learn a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, right? But again, if you understand Gongchik, right, it doesn't mean there's only one thing to learn. In fact, there's a lot of things to learn. But depending on how you go about learning these things, you could either be digging 20 wells, or you could be digging 20,000 wells, or you could be digging one well. Yes, often it is said, you should have only one yidam. Do one yidam, do it from now until the end of your life. Sounds good. Practically, that's not how it works for most people. A lot of fairy tales, very inspiring fairy tales. I'm sorry, but I have to say this, it's fairy tale. Yeah? The idea that, oh, one yidam, the rest of your life, Again, then if that's not the case for most people, then for most people, it's plenty of yidams. Now, you could practice plenty of yidams in the style of digging 20 wells or 20,000 wells, or you could practice many yidams and still be digging a single well. And I would say, if you understand Gongchik, then you don't really even need to worry so much about, oh, is this my yidam? Is that my yidam? Am I doing this right? Am I, should I do this one? Should I do that one? Whatever you do, I'm digging this one well. I'm digging deep. Yes, so base empowerment, like the basis or the foundation in which you practice your path empowerment. So these empowerment rituals that you attend, that's the foundation of base empowerment. Then there is the result empowerment, fruition empowerment. Fruition empowerment or result empowerment is, you can say, the actual empowerment whereby you directly experience the Buddhas of the 5 families, male and female, the Bodhisattvas, male and female, the wrathful deities, male and female, they all come on that eve, you could say, of your enlightenment. So in the Vajrayana telling of what was going on for Siddhartha when he sat under the Bodhi tree, the Vajrayana telling is of that account of that what was going on is that right before he finally became Buddha, he experienced his whole environment turning into akanishta, which is the highest realm of existence within samsara. So it's a way of saying everything became pure and subtle. Then in the akanishta heaven, where he sat, in Bodh Gaya in Varanasi, is experienced as akanishta. Then all these, they call them the 3 seats, or the 3 groups of empowerment deities: male and female Buddhas, male and female Bodhisattvas, male and female wrathful deities. They all came, and finally he experienced that final empowerment. That is called the fruition empowerment, because that empowerment is basically how Buddhahood manifests. So there is base empowerment, path empowerment, and result of fruition empowerment. Questions? Comments? I don't understand what you're asking or stating.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Nirmanakaya is how Buddhas appear to 8 Bhumi Bodhisattvas.
Non-Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya.
Sambhogakaya.
Yes.
And so then in the prayer it asks, may I realize the subtle energies to be the Nirmanakaya.
Sambhogakaya.
Sambhogakaya, yes, sorry. So is the analogy there to see the subtle energies as a teacher, or
Yeah. Yeah, and can you let these subtle energies be benefiting others?
okay.
Even the shifts and the changes.
I suppose what I'm getting caught up on is
Don't get caught up.
okay. So you say Sambhogakaya is how Buddhas manifest to teach eighth Bhumi Bodhisattva.
Yes. So in conclusion, we don't need to worry about it.
Okay, all right.
Until you get to seventh Bhumi, then you can try to figure out, what's going to happen on the eighth.
Right.
And it's good you asked this question because many others are not asking, they're wondering. I always say, like, yes, sometimes when you ask a question, you might even get yelled at, but if you don't ask that question, that confusion will not be yelled out of the window. It'll remain with you. So you have to be brave, you have to be thick-skinned. So this is good. And then I have the opportunity to tell you, yeah, they were going to tell you, because we're giving you kind of an overview. Okay, on this level, this, on this level, this, on this level, this, right? Then often where we get stuck is, but over there, that level, I don't understand. Okay, immediately recognize. Yeah, of course you don't understand, because right now, no business understanding it. Right now it's just like, okay, at this level, this is what it means. And it's sort of like saying, but then, when you drive another 40 miles, you're going to see blah, 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 right? They're like, oh, blah, 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 you mean it's like this, you mean it's like that, right? But of course, it's natural, normal to kind of wonder, because it's sort of right? It's also trying to motivate you to keep driving. But if the motivation for you to keep driving distracts you from actually driving here, you'll crash here and never get there. So here, again, this tradition, as in, Tibetan Buddhism, whatever, it'll give you, it always gives you like this whole big picture, then on the 7th Bhumi, then on the 8th Bhumi, then on the 9th Bhumi, then on the 10th Bhumi, then on the 11th Bhumi, And then we mistakenly think like, oh, I'm going to know what these, Of course, we work on trying to understand a little bit better, what is going on these Bhumis. But also, the moment you feel like you are caught up, I like that expression, then you say, let go, release, because I've reached the limit of what I'm able to understand about that. So always bring it back to where I'm standing now. This information you just gave me about what's 10 miles down the road, how is that information going to inform my driving here? And if you can find a way to inform your driving here, and then but you're not sure, you want to check, okay, that's fine. Yeah, you check and say, right here, I think this is how I can kind of make use of that information of what's, 10 miles down the road. And then just take that. But don't be fixated on, but I really want to know what's 10 miles down the road. Well, keep driving. And then you get 10 miles down the road. You're like, you mean a chinchilla is what this is. Like right now I say chinchillas. Some of you may or may not know what a chinchilla is. Or a chinchilla eating a chimichanga. That's even more confusing. So yes, thank you.
This is very helpful to me because I tend to go 10 miles down the road before I've even started.
Yes.
and so basically what you're saying is if we can keep focused on our own Nirmanakaya state with the realization that it is more than we know it is,
Yes.
practice within that context,
Yes. Right.
we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Or
Right.
what we'll get, what that is the path.
Yes. So right now, illusory body needs to be first, understood as illusory. Mostly there, right?
Yeah.
If we can get from our ordinary concepts of this body, go from there to understanding this is illusory body, then go from illusory body to understanding the possibility of it being Nirmanakaya, right?
Got it.
Yeah. Then we focus on there, right? Then as we just focus on there, deepening that, do also know. Eventually you'll be 10 miles down that road where you begin to know how to relate to the vital energies as Sambhogakaya.
But with practice, it comes at some point, but we
exactly.
it just sort of happens.
Exactly.
And we realize.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll get these insights, Yeah. So what the text, what the lamas give, sort of like preview of what may come. We need to also know how to focus. Where am I now? In fact, again, Gongchik, So even though we're not opening the book today, I'm basically still talking about Gongchik. Yeah. So in fact, Gongchik, right? One of the Vajra statements say, the vase empowerment is the most important. So this is talking about the 4 empowerments using a different set of vocabulary, where it's called the vase empowerment, the secret empowerment, the primordial wisdom empowerment, and the 4th, or the word only empowerment. Siki Wang, Bumwang is the first, the vase empowerment. Vase is an analogy for this body, vase empowerment. So most other traditions and teachers will say, oh, the 4th empowerment is the most important. Now, of course, you're like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? You're like, oh, the 4th empowerment is the most crucial. Yeah.
But you got to get there.
That's why Jigten Sungpan says no. It's the vase empowerment. And what's going on is, we can say then there is the secret empowerment, there's a primordial wisdom empowerment, there's the vase empowerment. They are simply the process of uncovering what was introduced at the vase empowerment. So if you did not get what was introduced in vase empowerment, then these 3 other empowerments, not very useful. What are you going to do with that? It's at the vase empowerment where the basic fundamental nature of, our mind or our reality is introduced. When it's introduced, you may kind of get it intellectually. You may get it to some degree experientially. But then you have to stabilize, habituate, practice with the secret empowerment, primordial wisdom empowerment, and then 4th empowerment. And what is finally achieved when 4th empowerment is fully received is full understanding of what the heck happened in the vase empowerment. You see, this explanation is very profound, I think, And also like, wow, this is the Gongchik approach, you know. Always talking about, you know, ground level. But with the understanding that ground level is going to change in a sense, right?
Your understanding of it will
Yes,
change.
yes. And in the end, you have not really gone anywhere. But right where you are standing, its significance will change and change and change and change and change until this is the Buddha land. This is Dewa Chen. There's no going and no coming.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
very helpful.
This is the style of Gongchik, you know. Five-minute stretch, and then we continue, okay? Stretching, jumping jacks.